Hey,
Just
Mama.
talk about keeping it real. Hey, girl,
Oh,
with the
yeah, we're definitely keeping it real today.
mama today.
Oh, yeah, you've got that cute hat on.
Yeah, it's
And I'm
super cute.
sopping wet hair straight out of the bath.
I think that's awesome. I should take midday baths. I think that would be wonderful.
I had to. Like, it was the only time I had other than this evening. And I'm not sure how my evening's going to pan out. So it was like I had literally like a 45-minute window or something. And I just was like, fuck it, I'm taking a bath right now.
Taking a bath. You actually wash your hair in the bath?
Yeah.
Okay, that's so interesting. I only wash it in the shower. Like I'll take a bath, but I won't wash my hair.
Well, first of all, I rarely take a shower. Um,
Okay, I did not know.
yeah. Where I have pots, showers, I used to like all only take showers mostly, and I was like always struggling through it, and I would be exhausted after, and it would take me like hours to get going again. And it's like the heat and all of that dilates your blood vessels.
Yeah, that makes total
So
sense.
the blood goes more to your feet, and like it was awful. And I didn't put it well, I didn't really, understand what all was happening or whatever. Or I just guess I never thought of it because I always just took showers. And then when I started working from home, because like I had a big health crash when I worked on base, and I would had more time, I would take baths and I wouldn't have so many issues. So
Yeah.
I started I always loved baths, but it just became like a more luxurious, regular routine for me.
Yeah, that makes total sense because I feel that way after I shower. Like if I have to wash my hair, usually if I take like a 10-minute shower and I don't wash my hair, I'm fine. But the showers I wash my hair, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. Not like to that extent, but I totally can see what you're saying. Like,
Hmm. And I love also just laying in the bathtub and going like all the way under.
yeah,
It just feels so good. And sometimes I see how long I can hold my breath. So I can that's really good for your brain to hold your breath like as long as you can.
that's really interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna add that into my routine. Maybe not with a bath, because
A
I
little
like, yeah,
biohack.
that's so funny. Okay, are you ready?
I'm
Let's
ready.
now that we've talked about our bathing rituals.
I know. Well, it is, Taurus season, and I am a Taurus, and we love our luxurious comforts. So the bath fits right.
Okay, okay. Um, okay, that's so funny because we literally listened to that podcast, which ruined this whole episode for me after I listened to it.
It
The what
did.
is her name? Kristen, yeah,
Kristen
Kristen
Cavallari.
Cavallari. Because you're talking about luxury and like it seems luxurious when you watch it on the screen and then turns out it wasn't so luxurious.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So for the listeners, we I sent Emily a podcast because I listened to Kristen Cavallari's podcast, Let's Be Honest, and I sent it to her because she had Matt and John on her podcast, and they gave some like behind the scenes scoops that were, it does reframe the whole show for me.
Yeah. I was really surprised they didn't like have an NDA that they couldn't discuss all that because that was like a lot of information.
Yeah, I thought so too. Like there were no spoilers per se.
No, but it
Um,
like really painted the production like in a different light and I had no idea.
yeah, so we can go on and get into that. Like, what are some of the things that stood out to you?
I just didn't realize like I knew it was strict. I'd heard that from some other season. I knew it was strict and like the Wranglers, I'd heard that term before where they like really keep an eye on them and don't let them wander off and don't let them um you know spend time together without the cameras. Like I knew some of that information, but like as far as the camping being miserable and like cold and not fun,
And that yeah,
like bad conditions, like they were in bad conditions, like they didn't have anything nice to sleep on, like that was kind of shocking to me because
And
I
they
figured they would be
said,
treated well, but
oh, I know. It sounded like they didn't treat them well. Like, not that they treated them terrible, but really, like, I wouldn't have wanted to stay and sleep there. And they were saying, like, the girls were trying to do their makeup in the car mirrors. And, like, the thing that really shocked me was, I mean, of course, this would shock me back to my Taurus loving my luxuries and, like, delicious stuff. They said that they had like a 2 drink maximum, and that after filming Wrapped, for everyone there, they gave them like 2 bottles of wine.
yeah.
And I just thought, I don't know. I just think that's shitty. Like they're already giving them like John said he slept outside with no tent, no mattress, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was cold.
And they went and turned or had the firemen come put all the fires out. So they were freezing to
Yeah.
death at night. Like at least give them a little wine or something to like
Yeah.
make it more manageable.
Enjoyable.
I don't know.
Yeah, I was just really surprised by all of that. And then when he's like, yeah, the solo dates sucked because we were like tired and cold and gross and whatever from the night before. So we weren't like super into it. And I was like, huh.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, they put on a good face, but Matt and that said that he was like not himself. And I'm like, okay, so did you just like lie the whole time or what? Because he has said multiple times that he is just like slow to like get to know people,
I know.
slow with relationships, and that's really what I thought he was showing us. So,
Yeah, me too. It was a little bit confusing for me when I heard him say that on the podcast because I also in like on the show he wasn't communicating. This is so weird for me. I feel like I'm like not even being myself. He was saying, "Oh yeah, I am just slow to open up. I am slow to do these
yeah,
things." So I'm wondering if after he has seen a few episodes, because that's another thing. They had to wait and see it real time, so they've never seen any of it before we
yeah,
are. And so I'm wondering if after he has seen a few episodes, he's like, he doesn't like how he acted, or if maybe he just isn't acquainted with that version of himself. Like, I don't know. I don't
yeah.
know
I
where
don't know.
it
I thought
came
it was
from.
interesting that he's like, that's not who I am.
I
But
liked
I do
John more
think I
after.
really like John in general.
Oh, I
The
did
more
too, but
I hear him talk, I like him a lot.
yeah, but hearing him, I mean, I like him on the show, but hearing him on that podcast, I like him more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say there was more perspective from him, but I didn't really enjoy him like so much in the beginning, but now I'm getting a better feel for like him and what he wants, and I kind of dig it. Like
Yeah.
on the podcast, I wish they would tell you this on the show, like when he was talking about how he wasn't super interested in some of the girls because they were like, you know, a little too playful or like, I don't want to say manly, but they were like, what did he
They
how did he
were,
say it? They like broed out or whatever, like
yeah,
they were doing
I
too
think
soon.
they were like, and the ones that were giving him like wet willies and stuff, he said.
Okay, I think the wet willy thing is really weird, but like I like punched, I mean not like a mean way, but I like punched a guy in the arm, like, yeah, but maybe that is too like guy-ish. I don't know. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I feel like if he, after hearing him talk, because I've said before, like the masculine feminine thing, and like I thought Samantha was too in her masculine for him. And then
Yeah.
after hearing him talk to Kristen on her podcast about that, I really think I understood it. Like he wants a really like feminine woman who isn't
Yeah.
like, not that she can't be playful and fun and stuff, but like not like a bro. And
Right. Well, and that's what he talked about in this episode, which I watched it twice. I've already said that. Like once just for fun, and then I watch it again to like take notes. And I really picked up a lot of that language in this episode because he did say I think he said it to Claire, like he wants to be with somebody who's willing to let him be a man. He's very
Yeah,
traditional. And then he
yeah,
kind of said that at the end, I think again with Lily, he made it pretty clear. He wants someone that he can make him a better person. He says, it's really important to stick to your morals and values, like after you get married and like enter that partnership. So yeah, he seems to be like my kind of guy. Like I like
yeah,
everything he's saying right now.
yeah. And I also loved, since you brought that up, I made a note. So I'm gonna pull it up, but I made a note of him saying, okay, maybe I'm not gonna pull it up because I can't. Oh yeah, that Claire is not religious. Um, but he was like, he said it on the show, and then he said it again in that podcast we listened to. Um, that I loved that he wasn't like closed minded about that, that he just was like, we both have the same values. We just got to them in different ways. And
Yeah.
um, I felt like that was really, I don't know, like, I don't know exactly the word, I guess evolved of him and like just open minded to be able to recognize that, oh, like we do still have all of this commonality, even if we don't have the exact same belief system.
Yeah. But I think when push comes to shove, like he'll want her to have some sort of faith or something. Cause he was like asking if that was something she was like open to learning
Yeah.
about. And he like made a comment when he was on his date with Lily about, God having control of everything. And so I have a feeling like she's
It's
saying
important.
she's willing to learn. So I think he's taking that as like, okay, that's something that like hopefully she'll come around to. But I think if she didn't come around to it, or if she learned more and she's like, yeah, that's not for me, I think he'd be like, well, this is really important to me. So I don't know that it's going to work. That's just my interpretation based off what he said.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be a negotiation for them because it's reminding me of the conversation with Love is Blind, how that one guy was real into church and
Yeah. And she was
she
like, not
wasn't.
happy.
But I think it would also like those are some of the things that would come down to like if if it wasn't for Claire and she was like, no, this really isn't for me, would John be open to that and like going to church without her? Or is it important to him? And I can understand this, like even though I don't go to church, I can understand
Yeah.
being important to someone to be like, well, I want to go with my wife and my kids when we have kids and I want my whole family to go to church together, or I want, like, if that's important to him,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
he didn't say that. So this is like not even about
Right.
him. It's just in general.
Yeah. This is speculation from my part. What did you think about John and Claire's kiss?
I loved it.
I loved it too. It was so cute because it was like they kissed and then they pulled back and then they kissed and then they like kind of paused and then
Mhm.
they like went for it and I was like, oh,
I know. It was
that's
like,
it
oh,
right there. And he
yeah.
even was so funny, which it makes more sense now since I've listened to the podcast because he was like, yeah, that was a great kiss. And then I don't know, the producer said, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it. It's like, okay, this makes a lot more sense. Like, I feel like he was maybe more in charge of his farm and
Oh,
Matt
yes.
was, because he made it seem like they all hung out and Matt was like, no, they wouldn't let me do any of that. But I almost wonder, it could be that the production teams are that different, or Matt was just easier to
He just went along with
follow
what they said. Yeah.
follow the rules instead of John
Yeah.
being like, actually, we're gonna hang out and do this or that.
And I feel like it would be necessary to get that time, like more time, because we've talked about this before. They
Yeah,
get a lot of time together. It didn't seem on watching the show on TV, and they both said no, they don't have any more time really than what we see.
right.
John was like, well, my production team, like we all hung out together, like me and the girls, we did that and they allowed it. But like Matt was like, oh, they didn't allow that at all. And I'm with you. I just think, but I also think that's their personality difference, which is why I think it's funny when Matt said that he acted so different than he really is. Cause I'm like, no, like this is a prime example. Like if you wanted to take charge and you wanted to have time with them,
Uh-huh.
you would have spoken up and said, no,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
And all the girls said he was indecisive. So, I mean, you're really good at hiding who you are, like really, really well, or you don't want to rock the boat, so you're not going to be yourself. I don't know. I thought maybe he was, I don't want to say like putting one on, but maybe he is completely different. I don't know. But from what I could see,
Yeah.
I
Well,
thought, I don't know. I don't know
yeah,
him personally, though.
I agree with you. And I also think, you know, I did love that John was like saying in the show that he wanted someone who would let him be a man and, essentially let him lead and all of that. Um, but so I just feel like he has been more vocal about being more like
Yeah.
in his
I
masculine
feel
in
like all
general.
three of them really have.
Yeah, more
Um,
than
I I do have some like stuff here though,
that.
because
Okay.
I found some of these quotes that I wrote down like super interesting. So like
Okay.
okay, the last solo dates, Juliana made a point to say like if somebody wanted it to be you, it would be you. So like he didn't pick her, so she's saying, if he really wanted it to be me on that date, like he would have picked me. And I kind of struggle with that a little bit because I'm thinking okay, like, how much of that is true versus being on this show and having Claire the whole time? Would you feel like a dick if you didn't pick her over somebody you just got on this show? Like, because
Right.
I mean, the whole country's watching. So, I think some of that would like influence my choices. Like, even if I was interested in somebody else that I just brought on, I would still probably lean a little more towards the person who's been there the whole time so I didn't look like the world's worst person because she hasn't had a date yet.
Oh, see, that didn't even cross my mind,
Okay.
but I do, like, I have a lot of individual circuitry in human design, and it's like I make decisions like I don't try to please other people with my decisions,
Okay.
but and so that did not even enter my mind, but I can see what
Well,
you're
I find
saying.
that interesting it didn't enter your mind because that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, well, if he picks you, like he's gonna look like a dick because
So,
Claire's been waiting this whole time for a date.
right. So the thing that I actually wrote down about it, okay, first of all, I have two things. I have two things to say. First of all, is it did not enter my mind. And to be honest, if that's why a guy asked a girl on a date, then I wouldn't find that attractive. So he's probably not the guy for me because I would want him to ask who he really wanted to ask and to be able to like stand strong spine, you know, like that's, I was going to say hard dick, but like, like be masculine in what you want,
Assertive.
assertive. Yeah. And do what you want. And because that's how I want you to be in relationship with me and our family is to take care of us and not worry about what other people think. That's the first thing in response to what you said. But the second thing, which is what I wrote down, is that all these, partly in part because she was saying that, but some of the other girls too were just like, oh, that they must like the other person more and that's why they're taking them on a date. And my thought was, you have no idea why they're asking that person on a date. They could actually be thinking, I don't think I feel anything with them and I want to verify that. Or
Yeah.
this feels more like a friendship and I just want to like make sure before I tell them goodbye. Or it could be that they are like head over heels and want more time with that person. But like there are so many reasons they could have picked who they picked. So I find like
Right.
all the self talk and the mind chatter of the people who don't get picked fascinating.
Yeah, I think it's really just a difficult situation. So to like stay confident and be true to yourself would be really challenging, I think, in that environment. I guess depending. Like I would struggle with it because of who I am confidence wise. Like when John's like, I want a confident woman on the podcast that we
Oh yeah.
listened to, and the chat was like, yeah, I want a confident woman. And I'm like, you know what? Confidence is a difficult thing. And if you don't have a strong spined man, you're not going to be confident. And when you're thrown into a group with 4 other girls, and like you're, waiting for your turn and watching them be with these other girls, and like, depending on how the guy navigates that, that would not allow you to be very confident, in my opinion. So I think, yes, you can want a confident woman, but also you have to realize that your actions as the man impact the woman's ability to be confident. That's my opinion. What do you think?
Um, yes and no. I mean, I think first of all, I think Matt and John want confident women for very different reasons, right? Like,
Matt needs a boss.
yeah, he does. And John just wants that self-assurance and that confidence because he is so strong. So that's a great example of how like you can want the same thing but for different reasons, or want different things for the same reasons, or whatever. But I think, you know, like I don't think it would necessarily, I don't think it necessarily has to deter a person's confidence how a man acts, but I do think that it can shape like how they feel in a situation, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So you're okay. I think we're on the same page. So you're not saying like their overall confidence of who they are as a person, but situation to situation, they
But
might
like I could
react a certain.
definitely, yeah, like I could definitely be like, oh, okay, like I am not confident that he's going to pick me because of our interactions, but it doesn't make me
Yeah.
less self-confident. Um,
So then he to pick Samantha, even though she was like broy, because I maybe masculine and confidence are different, but I feel like she was very confident. Like,
oh, see, I felt like a lot of that was put on.
and it could be, but like to me, I feel like just like her, this is what I want, and blah, 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 like that to me, I guess is confidence. I don't know. We need to define this confidence. Let's find these boys and define the
Yeah, what
confidence.
did they
What
mean?
kind of confidence are you looking for?
But you know, I think this is a nice little you and I had a little like voice memo thing back and forth the other day,
Oh
and I
yeah.
think this is a good place for talking about that because we were talking about how as women, like how we look can really impact how we feel, and like that can also play into confidence. So my birthday is in a couple of days. It's on Sunday the 18th. So in a few days from when we're recording. And I'll be 46. I can't believe it. Ah!
I can't believe it.
And you like said something to me like that you like thought you knew I was like older than you, but you thought I was younger, you know. And people all the time like guess my age really young, like way younger than I am. And
Yeah.
I that's amazing and flattering, and I like to take care of myself and all that, but like I can definitely see in certain ways like my age on myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, like certain things just look different. My skin looks different. I have more wrinkles, whatever. And at the same time, like I'm not someone who goes and gets Botox, or who like, and just to clarify, because I know there's going to be somebody like, I know she's had Botox before. Yes, I used to get Botox for migraines. It was like all in my head. I stopped getting it because I was having such bad reactions. Like I didn't have hardly any in my face. It was all like in my scalp. But anyway, I got bad reactions, so I stopped doing it altogether. Um, but and I actually hated it when they would put it in my face. Like I made posts about like how much I hated it because my face didn't look the same. Um, anyway, so I don't do that, and I still go in the sun, and I don't wear a bunch of sunscreen because I believe the sun is good for us, and I believe in like building a sun callus and things like that. So I look very different than some people who are my age who do all kinds of things to themselves. And so I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking so old, or like, oh my gosh, my skin is sagging here, or I'm not as muscular or tight there as I used to be, or whatever. And I think that's like a normal part of aging and life. And I want women, like my desire, and I'm for myself too, is that we can like start embracing aging and embracing because we can still feel vibrant. And like I shared with you, I'm so grateful for everything my body does for me. I mean, I've been bedridden, I've been so sick with my chronic conditions before that. Like, I love that I can eat food because my stomach has not worked. I love that I can walk. I love that I can, use my brain. Like I've literally been like when I can barely formulate a sentence. So I just want us all to like, I don't know, like cultivate in ourselves and in our culture and in one another. And I think it also begins with men, like you were saying, like loving up on us and telling us how beautiful we are, and that like not flocking to all the fake shit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yes, I know what you're saying.
it's
We want to have a
important.
deep appreciation for our bodies and what all they do for us.
Yeah, and I think that's part of building our confidence though, is like how do we source confidence, And starting a new
Yeah,
place
be in
forces.
appreciation in like our bodies and who we are, appreciate our morals and values. So I think that was something else somebody talked about.
Well, I want to say one of
Into
the
your
things,
morals and values and like being confident in, yeah, don't be wishy-washy, be confident.
yes.
What
And
were
I'll
you gonna say?
say, well, I just want to say one other thing that I found fascinating. So Jagger has been raised with by me, like a hippie mama who like, doesn't go get my hair colored. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not shaming any of that. If you want to get your hair colored, if you want to get your Botox, live your life. Do what you want. Really. Like, but it's fascinating because we will be watching TV and he will say, without any prompting from me, and he's done this for years. Oh my God, that woman has so much Botox. Her face doesn't move. That looks awful. Like, why do women do that? You know? And I just, inside, I love it. Like, I just love it. I don't like, you know, say, oh, I'm so happy you think that, or anything. But
Yeah.
inside, I love it because I just want to raise him to be a man who values women for, yes, their outward beauty, but also their inward beauty, and who knows that, like, it's normal to make an expression on your face and then you're going to get a wrinkle. And that means you've lived a beautiful life because you've had joy and sorrow and all the emotions, and we can see it. Great. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree completely with all of that.
I
I
know.
don't love to age, but I'm also okay with it because I don't really want to do the other things. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and in our culture, we all just have to like show each other the way and help each other through it as women. Anyway, I
yeah.
know that for me feels very related to the confidence conversation.
Yeah, I think no, I think it starts, yeah, within yourself, but I also think that you can be the most confident person in the world and be treated poorly, and some of that could start to diminish because we are only like,
Mhm.
I shouldn't say you are only so strong, but you can only take stuff for like so long. So when I think of all these girls in like their pressure cooker environments, and they like want attention, but they have to share attention, and they're not allowed to go talk to this person unless the cameras are in their faces. And I know that they sign up for this, but like some of that could probably and easily wreck me.
Mhm.
But I think that would be a conversation I would try and have with them and say, like, I just will need peace of mind. So, like, can we just come up with like a signal? And if you look at me and like you give me this signal, like, I just need that like little bit of a peace of mind that like you see me, you've got me, whatever. Because I
Oh, that's
think like
beautiful
at the end,
containment.
so
That's
right,
containment you're
I think at
asking
the
for.
I need containment, girl. Let me tell you, this
We
this
all
brain
do.
needs contained. But I think like at the end when Bailey was like, I want to be pursued. I'm not really feeling that way. And then Colton, I was not impressed with him at all. He couldn't choose. They're all three so great. I like wrote all this down. He hasn't made up his mind. And like, so he was letting her choose for him, which was super annoying to me. Cause I'm like, you need to man up and like decide. Yes, they are all great girls. You knew you couldn't keep all of them. There has to be a difference between them enough for you to decide. But I liked what she said. She's like, I love myself enough that like if you're not sure, like if you're still not sure about me or who you're going to pick, like if I don't stand out enough for you, like I love myself enough that I'm gonna go home. And then
Yeah,
at the end, she said what we've been saying this whole time. She's like, I wish he would have like fought a little bit more for me. But then she's like, but that's all the clarity I need. Like,
yeah.
if he's not gonna fight for me,
Girl,
then
yes,
there's my answer.
yes. And I could not agree with that more. Like, if he really wanted to be with her and she was like, I think I'm gonna leave, whatever, he would be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, okay, I better step the fuck up right here, you know?
Yeah, or like say, I don't want you to go. But he
Yeah,
let her choose. He let her choose. Like,
yeah. So
I
that's good
we
enough.
need to run the finale. We need to run. Hopefully they do like the after, whatever that's called. What do they call that? The reunion. Hopefully they do a reunion. You and I should be the one asking these questions because I
I have
want to
some,
know. Like, Colton, what were you thinking? Like, why did you do that? Why did you let her decide for you? Why didn't you just make a decision? Because
right.
you're just like too busy making out with everybody.
Right. But oh, speaking of that, did you notice I wrote it down? So I've made sure not to forget. When Keely was getting up on the horse, he like grabbed her
Oh
butt.
yeah, girl.
He like
He was
totally
all
grabbed
over
her
that.
butt. I was like,
Yeah,
okay.
it makes me wonder if that's how he would help every woman get up on the horse. Like, is that just how he does it? Like, does it just make it easier for him? Or if that was like his point. He was motivated by that. But
I think he wanted to touch her butt. I don't know. But
I would be curious as like touchy feely as he is and like as
yeah.
much as he makes out with everybody, I would be
But
really curious if that's not how he would help every single woman he ever knows how to get up on a horse.
that's funny. Well, did you see though? I also made note that when they were talking and she was seriously talking to him about PCOS, which Keely, if you hear this, look me up, girl. I have got some clients with PCOS and I can help you. Um,
Says call me.
anyway, yeah, but no, but really, like she was so serious about that, and that was the first time I've seen him be that serious. And then he kissed her without making any joke,
Yeah.
without, and I was like, oh, this is kind of a different side of him that I haven't really seen before.
Yeah. Yeah. I always feel bad in those situations, like, because the girls have taken so much on themselves that they're like going to be disappointing somebody because they have
Yeah.
Like, anything that doesn't allow them to have children, or, might not allow them to have children, or whatever the case may be. Like, I feel so bad that they like put all this on themselves.
It is.
It's a lot, I think, to work through, like, mentally.
Oh yeah. It's a lot. I know we've discussed it in past episodes, but having a chronic condition and dating has been like, it's not challenging for me to date or whatever because I like know how to manage my energy and like ask her what I need and things like that. But it is, and mine isn't. I mean, now I'm old enough, I don't want to have a kid, and it didn't even impact that necessarily. But I just know from that perspective of just having like a condition that you feel like you do like I want people to know about that at some point because I do live my life a certain way because of it.
Yeah.
um and I think the added layer of the baby, if you're of an age where you think people would want to have a baby, that would be even scarier because is are people gonna like understand or judge you or get in your corner and say, "We'll figure it out, and if it doesn't work out, it's okay." You know what I mean? Like there, people can
Yeah.
respond however, and there was it probably felt stressful, and it's. I mean, all you can do is what she did,
Yeah.
and just be
Mhm.
honest and see how it lands.
Yeah. Yeah, because some people would be like, no, but those aren't your people, people who are like, no, that's too much for me to handle. Like, clearly you're not my people.
Right.
Um, okay, what else did I have on here? I just think they're so funny when they get rid of girls. They just don't like
Um,
they don't have like their speeches. Like, so when Jay sent Rissa home, I mean, it
I was
made
getting ready to
sense.
bring them up.
He,
That's who I was going to bring up.
if he knew, that's so funny. If he knew that like traveling was really not in the cards for him, which I mean, they could have talked about it a little more and maybe came up with a better compromise. But because I'm like, okay, you're traveling right now, like while you're still supposed to be farming, which I don't know, maybe the company, like maybe Fox pays to somebody to stay at his farm or whatever. I don't know. But I'm like, there are ways around it, but like maybe he genuinely doesn't want to travel very much. Um, so I thought that was interesting for him. Like, and I don't know what all he said in his goodbyes because I'm always like, you guys just don't say the right things. Or like when Matt and Halle, I was like, Matt, like, oh my gosh, you guys need to practice your speeches more. Like, I mean, I knew he was kind of caught off guard, but I'm sure he knew he was sending her home. So, like, you're a great girl. I just don't think, or whatever. Like, lie. Say the other relationships have progressed more, and, you know, I'm sorry.
You're
But you don't need to be like, I don't find
fine.
you romantic. I do not. Every woman in the world wants to hear that they're not found to be romantic. That would be scarring for me if a man was like, I don't find it romantic with you. Like, I'd be like, what's wrong with me? I think I'm pretty.
I would rather, are you kidding me? I would rather hear that than be lied to.
Oh no, lie to me. Please lie to
You're
me.
so funny. Because but isn't it true though? Like you would have to know. I mean, you have to know this, Emily. Like it's not about you. It's just that spark or that chemistry, like, is there or it isn't sometimes. Like,
Oh no, no. As a projector, it's all about me. And I would just
no.
internalize that and take that so personally. I would.
Oh my
it,
God.
it's not romantic with you. I'd be like, what? Am I like too manly? Like, what's wrong with me? You could be honest, and he could have said, I just am feeling it a little bit more with Jordan and Chelsea. That's all he had to say. You're a great girl. I'm just feeling it a little bit more with them. You don't have to come out and say it's not romantic for me. Don't say that.
See, I would be
Because
like,
then she cried and she's like, I'm gonna miss you. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't tell him that. He doesn't need to know that. You just say, thank you for the experience. I'm leaving.
You were hilarious. You were cracking me up because I'm like the exact opposite. Like, I'm like, I would say to someone, I just don't feel, I've actually said to someone before, this is probably terrible.
And you're going to text them and ask them how it landed for them. And you're going
I said to someone, I just don't feel like I want to fuck you.
yeah. Okay. Now text that person and let me know how that landed for them.
But I will tell you, it
It's a
got
good
to that
excuse.
place.
We're on the podcast. On my podcast, I was discussing this. And I just want to know your perspective. Did you appreciate my honesty or?
Right. Well, the thing is, though, I will say, I did just in the beginning, I just was saying like I didn't want to see them anymore, but they kept pressing it and pressing it.
Yeah. Then
Point
you
of,
have to be honest.
like, I've tried to say this a nice way, like three different ways. It's not landing, so I'm just gonna be blunt because the truth
Yeah.
is,
Okay. That's different than just breaking up with a girl who's like wanting to see where you stand.
but I think it's okay. I don't think he said it rudely to say like I just don't feel romantic. Like I
No,
think that
Matt's not rude. If John said it, it might be a little rude because John has more of a backbone. But no, Matt, he just his quiet little like raspy thing he has going, and he talks really slow.
yeah. Yeah.
Like his
What about
his
his kid?
demeanor and the way he talked on the podcast with Kristen was so maybe he's right. It was just different. Like he had banter, he was like flowy, he was quick. And I feel like on this show he's very slow when he talks.
I have a feeling that it could be like a situational thing because also, like they said on the show, I mean, I don't know this. I don't know if he had a drink before he went to Kristen's podcast or not, but I know on the show they couldn't. And I also know just from listening to Let's Be Honest for a really long time, and I've followed her for years, like she's really like I think she's kind of like how I am. Like we could carry on a conversation with a tree. Like you know what I'm saying? Like we just
Yeah.
drop us anywhere, we'll figure it out. We'll talk. So I think that gives him something to respond to where like other people it was in that situation like everybody seemed nervous or uptight or like I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's the environment. But I feel
Yeah.
like even when he was on a date with Chelsea and he was like into her, he was still kind of like
And I know he is. He's definitely slow moving.
not that
Um,
there's anything wrong with that. Matt's never gonna listen to this. And not that I'm not dogging him. I would love to hang out with each one of these guys
yeah,
individually in real time to see what they're really like. Because
me
obviously
too.
this is just a glimpse of
But
them. But
I was surprised and happily surprised that he finally kissed somebody.
yeah, me too. I thought that was cute. When they like snuck off, you couldn't even see it like at first.
I know, and then he said
Yeah,
the
I thought that was
producers
cute.
came and were like, "Did you all kiss? We have to get that on camera." And he said he was like, he negotiated something with them to put.
Oh no, they like snuck off. I think. I don't think they
I know, but
negotiated.
then the
Just
producers came over there because they could hear it on
yeah.
the mic, and they were like, "We want that on camera." And he said
Oh, maybe
he,
he did say that.
yeah,
I
I
don't
forget
know
what
what
he
he said.
asked for, but he asked for something in order to get him kissing on camera.
So funny. I mean,
Um,
that's smart.
I guess he's a
Um,
negotiator, isn't he? The one that was negotiating for wine to blow up for the girls' air mattresses.
yes, I think so. Negotiation. I didn't think we saw much of Jay this episode besides just with Brissa, which is fine. I'm excited to see next week. I'm sorry, that's so gross. Next week when they meet because it's going to be different this season. So both sets of parents are meeting them at like basically the same time is what it said. Oh, that's tonight. That's tonight. Both sets
Tonight.
of parents are meeting at the same time. So I'm kind of excited to see that. I'm really interested in Matt's situation. And I would love to hear, I don't know if like Jay or Colton will be able to do a podcast, but I'd love to hear their experiences because
Yeah,
I
me.
find all of this like so fascinating. And it makes more sense why like couples are not super successful and why they're not comfortable like picking somebody and whatever because they don't really get a good feel for them. I did find it interesting though that they were like they said that the show is very adamant about asking them a million questions,
I
like
think you're like
very
reading my mind.
specific.
I think you're reading my
Very
mind.
specific. I am. We're
Literally
getting
gonna
good at
say
this. Like, well, I thought you froze for a second because you're like real close, and I was like, oh crap, something's happening.
that.
Uh,
No.
but I find that like really interesting because it makes it seem like they want them to be successful. Like, why
Right,
else
but
would you ask like all those specific questions?
right, but this is what I have said for I don't know how many years, and I stand by it. And I think that this whole situation with former once a wife proves it even more. It's like when you go on a dating app. Okay, like I did eHarmony years ago, and
Uh huh.
they like the level of questions that that one in particular asks you is I don't even know. Like I should have been applying for a job at NASA or something. Like the questions were insane, and it took me forever to even fill out the thing. And then they match you
I
with,
don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, though. Like,
oh no, but what
I
I'm
don't think
saying is, but what I'm saying is they match you with people based on that. But the whole like human factor of like how you interact together when you put like both of you might have a lot of the same interest and
yeah,
certainly whatever, but like when you get in person, there's no, first of all, there could be no chemistry, but even if there is, like the way you interact could be different, like not, it doesn't work. And so I
yeah,
think I understand that production is like, we want this to be successful. So we're going to ask all these questions. I mean, they said they even asked about like hair color, height, everything. Um, but that doesn't make up for the fact that you have to have time with a person for
yeah.
to
No,
really
for
get
sure.
to know them,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure. It's just such a good piece of information to have. I think it kind of like ruins the show. I mean, I know the show is like very produce like because they have the benches set up and then they take them to the bench and then they sit there and talk to them or whatever. Like I know that that stuff's produced, like when John was talking to Lily and I was like, okay, this is like totally produced, set up. Like I want to have a conversation with Lily. Okay, let's go set this up. You can bring her and you guys can talk. Like that stuff is
Oh
kind
my God.
of impersonal, I think.
We didn't talk about this right here, what you're talking about. When he said he was so pissed because when he went to kiss Samantha
Oh
and
yeah,
she
yeah,
like rejected him, I guess they ended up airing the first one, but the production wanted them to redo it. Like, how do you redo it? Like, this is,
yeah,
there's no
yeah.
better than the real life thing that happened. But, and then he said production was like behind her, like trying to get him to kiss her and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think that's really interesting. Like they shouldn't even be in there doing stuff like that. Like they
No,
had
so
to.
you're right. It's so fucking produced, which you're right. We can tell a lot of it anyway, but I think, and I love the show. I'm not gonna like stop watching it over this.
Oh heck no, yeah, I'm gonna watch it forever.
Yeah, but I do think it's like they've got to bring in some more just free flow, let things happen,
Mm.
get more footage that's real footage, and then
Well, I think it's like the time constraint. I think that's the problem. They want it to be an hour show, so they have to set it up to where it's only an hour. Like, okay, Colton, what are you gonna do with the girls for like we have, a 30-minute window here we're trying to block. Like
right,
get a tractor out and have them drive it.
right, but what if they filmed like a bunch of stuff and then they went in and just
Yeah.
pulled an hour's
Yeah.
worth of content every week
I
because
would
that's
agree.
the thing about the tractor. They said what's so funny
Budget.
was it was literally like you would think that we would think they were out there just riding around really taking time, and it was literally like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, basically. Well, you heard John say like everything was done. Like they had to like make up stuff. That's probably why they were cleaning that dang chicken coop because they didn't have any like actual farm stuff to do.
right,
I found
right.
that interesting.
And
It
then
was
Matt
very
had those,
insightful.
and Matt had those other dates planned, like the horses on the beach and the wine tasting, and they didn't do them.
Yeah. Probably too expensive.
Yeah,
Because I
probably.
was literally thinking this morning when I was rewatching it, like when the girls were cleaning up the campsite, I'm like, I bet you they made those girls clean up that campsite.
You're right.
You know,
They
like
gave them no fucking sleep and no wine and no heat. That would be enough to send me.
so
I would be home on that
bizarre.
probably. Unless I was
Yeah,
like head over heels with the guy, I would be like, peace out.
so overwhelmed. Well, I think at this point, people are going to say yes to stuff like this because it's a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity to see where it will take you at this point because lots of these people, not necessarily so much on Farmer Wants a Wife. Like I think the most I've seen for their like Instagram accounts are maybe like 80,000. I don't know. But like the Bachelor people, you'd be crazy to not go on The Bachelor or Bachelorette at this point because I mean, you just don't know. Like lots of these people end up just being an influencer. I hate that term. An influencer.
I do too. Like, what the fuck are they influencing?
I know.
I probably don't want them influencing me.
Yeah, how to have like free stuff be sent to your house and I don't know. I find all that crazy. All these brands like send them all this stuff and they all
Most
get managers.
right. And they're like doing stuff that I don't know. Like I maybe I'm old now. Like that maybe that's because I'm like now I'm like over the hump to going towards like now I'm almost 50 instead of being closer to 40. I don't know. And 50 is not old by the way, because I want to live till I'm like 120. But I'm just saying my mentality at this point in my life is like, which has been this way a lot of my life, probably, because like I said earlier, like I don't really care what people think and I do what I want for the most part.
Yeah.
But I really feel like the people I look up to people and I want to be influenced by people of my choosing who I look at their life and I'm like, oh my God, they've got something really going on there, whether it be with their health or their relationships or, you know, just the way that they engage with their everyday. My Virgo North Node loves that stuff. So does my Taurus. But I guess like the majority of the people that have been on The Bachelor that are like quote unquote influencers now, like they're not even talking about anything or doing anything that I would ever be like, or think that the majority of people should be looking up to try to emulate.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that. They're like, I don't know, they're all making it seem like it's so realistic, I guess, to just be able to travel whenever you want and meet up with your girlfriends, whenever you want. Like, it's just not reality for the majority of the world, I would say. I think some of the world, yes, but the majority of the world, yeah. That's the only thing I think it sets up like unrealistic expectations. And I think that's probably why people would go on this show for like the fame of it, because why wouldn't you want to live that lifestyle? Like, why would
Well,
not?
right. And like, I don't even think that is like a problem because I do think that's attainable if that's the kind of life you really want to have. I just think the way you go about getting things that you want matters. So I was actually thinking about this earlier. I don't know, like certain things that I want in my life, I could have already had them a bunch of times over, but it would have been like me compromising my values to have them,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't want to promote something that I don't believe in or is of detriment really to people rather than being helpful. Or like, I don't want to be in a relationship with someone just because they have XYZ, but I don't feel like I respect them as a human or that there's
Yeah.
passion there. It feels so transactional. There's no, and not just with the romantic relationships, I mean even business ones, like there's no like passion and I would say integrity behind it.
Hmm.
And that's really important to me. So I just, yeah, I just don't get it.
Yeah, you're not buying into like the influencer trend. I wonder if Kristen Cavallari would say she's an influencer.
Um, I don't know.
She made an interesting statement, though, I think, about her experience as far as like reality TV that, she was what, a junior in high school and they were like getting
Yeah,
hammered on TV.
yeah.
Like it was so normal. And we wonder why, like, people, I don't know, kids these days have these expectations of like, this is what my life should be like or what it should look like. And, anyways, we're on a different tangent about things.
Yeah, it's fine. That's what we do. But it's a fascinating concept. All of it's fascinating and the way it's all interwoven. And then I'm like, okay, well, am I part of the, it's not a problem, but let's say the quote unquote problem because I love these reality shows and I watch all of them.
I know. I don't
But
think
I
you're
don't.
part of the I don't think you're part of the problem because I find them so fascinating and they're fun. Like it's just fun to see how other people live.
Oh yeah.
Other people are, showing up in the world. Like I just find all of that fun. And that's kind of why I do follow some of the people that I like get interested in. Like this season, I don't know, I might follow these guys for a while. Just to see what they're up to. Cause I'm just curious, like
I
post
understand.
show, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just find it really interesting to see how other people live their lives. Like I said technically I do follow influencers, but like I'm not taking anything from them. Like you were saying, like they're not influencing me to do anything. I'm just curious about like what they're
Yeah.
doing with their lives.
Yeah, I am too. I love to see what people do with their lives and how different people live and think about things and like people who even do things differently than me. I love to see that. And even if it's stuff I would
Yeah.
never do, sometimes I just am fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is, I have a couple of gates in my human design chart that are just like unique and weird, like energy. Gate 8 and gate 43, especially that I'm thinking of right now. And so I like to see how different a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's
Anyway,
fascinating.
did you have anything else for Farmer?
I will look on here on my notes, but I really don't think I did. This one, um, no, I think that was everything. We didn't really talk a lot about Jay and Risso, but I agree with like what you were saying. And honestly, I was glad that to me, it just showed me more of like the aspects of him that I do like that we've talked about
Hmm.
before, and that he's just decisive and he just felt like,
Yeah.
okay, as much as I felt like I had this connection with you and I think you're a great person, and I loved how he worded it. It was something to the effect of, I wouldn't want you to have to change who you are or give up your love for traveling for this life.
Yeah.
And I love that. And first, he like asked her to clarify for him. So he wasn't assuming that she wasn't ready to settle down or give up the travel, but she was
Mhm.
asked and let her say how she felt. And she did want to travel with her kids and all that. And he just felt like that wasn't in alignment. And he wanted her to still have it. And I just think that is great that was another example of masculine containment, him having a strong spine, and him giving her the freedom to be who she wanted to be.
Yeah, I completely agree. I really like him a lot.
Yeah.
I like most of them a lot. I would have to say John and Jay. And I like Colton except for this last episode when he made her pick for him. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. Like, I
Now, I
understand
did
being
like,
confused. I do. I understand being confused and unsure,
yeah,
but I
but
wish
I
he
did
would have
like seeing
decided.
be more like serious with,
Yeah.
I did enjoy seeing that side of him. But I think you're right. And when it comes down to it, women love a decisive man, I believe, like 90% of the time. Like, most women, I would say, love a decisive man because it gives us something to orient to.
Yeah.
And that feels really safe and settling in our nervous system. And then even
Yes.
if that decision means I'm not with you or it's a no, we can at least orient to what is rather than being in this like free fall of unknown that feels so unsettling.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So tonight we have the Meet the Parents, whatever this episode's gonna be called. I'm really excited to check it out. I hope I get to watch tonight. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it also. I just love this one. I'm looking forward to. I feel like the last episode was probably the best one yet for me that they've done. It got a little juicy. And
Yeah.
so I think tonight will be great too.
Okay. So I will talk to you next week, right? We'll talk to everybody next week.
Yes, we will. All right. Peace out, girl.
Bye.
Bye.